Barbara and I are so honored, and it's so much fun to be here today at Singularity University. We have such respect for what you're doing in directing and bringing forth the power of our exponential entrepreneurship on this planet. And today we're going to talk about how the evolutionary story can help inform our times and help create a future commensurate with our full potential. So Barbara, it's such a pleasure to be here. And you've been working for over 70 years on the area of conscious evolution and the meaning of our power. And I really want to understand more about how you ended up activating that in your life story.
You know, Mark, it started actually when we dropped the first atomic bombs on Japan. I was introduced to President Eisenhower in 1953,
Wow.
right in his office when he had just become president. And he was being cordial, hello, young lady. And I said, Mr. President, I have a question for you. Yes? Mr. President, what do you think is the meaning of our new technological, scientific, industrial power that's good? He was startled. He looked at me and he said, I have no idea. So I thought, well, nobody knows. I read a great scientific Jesuit called Teilhard de Chardin, and he described evolution as a series of spiral, cell, multi-cell, animal, human, and now us going around the turn in the spiral, and he saw it has direction. And the direction, as he pointed out, is to greater consciousness, from single cell all the way up, to greater freedom of choice, from the smallest cell all the way to us. And then the third one was complex order, in which there is greater love, greater attraction to keep these enormously complex systems together, like our bodies. So then I realized if the meaning of the power of evolution is greater consciousness, more freedom, more loving order, that must be the meaning of our power now.
I love your expression, evolution by choice instead of evolution by chance. And it really does talk to the power that we have today in humanity and the radical concentration of power. Now, there are certain principles of evolution and patterns that you've noticed that we're also trying to apply to entrepreneurship today. Could you share some of them?
Well, here's one of them. The crises tends to precede transformation, and problems are evolutionary drivers. So when we see a crisis or problem from an evolutionary perspective, you say, what is wanting to come forth out of this problem? And when you look for it, you'll see that something new is being born out of the problem.
You know, our belief is that there's a radical concentration of power happening in the hands of entrepreneurs today, because what we find in the patterns that are revealed in evolution is that it's concentrated power radically to where the solution to the crisis of the era is. Evolution has been radically concentrating power into the hands of entrepreneurs. It's not in the hands of governments. It's not in the hands of civil society, NGOs. The growth tip is really in the entrepreneur's hands, and within the entrepreneurs most radically in the technology entrepreneur's hands, and then within technology, the exponential technologists. And Barbara and I believe that foundationally what is needed for the most purposeful, sustainable, regenerative future for our humanity on this planet is a radical acceleration of empathy. And the singularity, which is near, is a moment that actually will be a trim tab for radical acceleration of empathy, radical acceleration of connection, radical acceleration of love, and really purpose beyond self, which is so crucial.
The illusion that we're separate from each other and that our systems, like our production system and our economic systems, are separate is actually not so. Those systems are all connected one with the other, and given nature's tendency to create new whole systems from separate parts, what I see is that we are at the threshold of radical transformation in every system. And if the entrepreneurs of the world become aware of the direction towards greater love, greater freedom, and greater consciousness, it is possible that in the lifetime of living generations, we'll see the outlines of a new civilization.
Really, today, the entrepreneurs have a new role, a new hero story in that. And that new power comes with rights and responsibilities. And we believe that there's a new movement that's already been born, and that it's been born also within Singularity University. We call that evolutionary entrepreneurs. The evolutionary entrepreneurs are those who understand the meaning of this power that is good, that we have to have purpose beyond self. If we didn't, then we'd have pure self-interest driving entrepreneurship. When we look at the Singularity University ecosystem here, Barbara, what do you see as possible here?
Well, there are two amazing things. One is that the technological geniuses of humanity start to interact with each other and see the enormity of the problems they can solve and what good they can do, and that's already beginning to happen. But the second thing really that I got from you, Mark, is the idea that many of us who have never thought that we are entrepreneurs, like myself, now I'm realizing entrepreneurship is a basic function of the universe. The universe is a great entrepreneur. So I'm an entrepreneur, and I would love to see through Singularity University and through the book that we want to write about entrepreneurs who are changing the world, to open it up to the general public so that we would have an age of entrepreneurship, and that Singularity would be a way of initiating this that you don't get in ordinary universities.
One thing that Barbara and I teach is this whole nature of new wholes being created out of disparate parts. And we believe that Singularity University's real role, from an evolutionary perspective, is not just convening the exponential entrepreneurs and not just mapping the potentials of what this might mean, but actually creating a synergistic convergence where these disparate parts come together and they create a new whole that is more magnificent than any of the parts themselves, even the sum of the parts.
And if you take that whole story of evolution from single cell to us, you see nature gives constantly more power to create. So we have by far the most creative powers of any generation. We also have the greatest challenges, where we could lose our life support system in our lifetime. So this is not about hundreds of years from now. I would call upon Singularity to be a leader in a movement of humanity's willingness to take responsibility to be the creators that we are. We've had 5 mass extinctions before humanity got here. So what they say, this is the threshold of a possible 6th mass extinction. Well, the difference is we know it. It was never known before. And if we do know that it could lead to extinction, then we have to use the dissipative structure model that has brought us up from syntropy, and let's create higher order by joining our genius. It would be fantastic if Singularity became interested in developing a synergistic convergence process and bring these innovators from every single field and have us look at common goals and match needs with resources and come forward with the very first time the collective potential of our species.
You know, we do ask questions, powerful questions here, and want to convene them of what we believe are the most powerful people in the world, the exponential entrepreneurs today, and the ones receiving the greatest power. We don't need to dictate answers, but to convene convergence, because interaction creates attraction, creates creation, creates co-creation, and when aligned with evolutionary impulse and a respect for the gifts that we've received, the potential is truly unlimited for our own good.
And this reinforces the idea that our crisis is a birth. But the thing is, as you well know, Mark, we have to know something's being born. And if I remember having one of my children being led into the delivery room, and I said to the nurse, if I didn't know I was giving birth, I'd think I was dying. It's painful to give birth. So we as a species don't know in general that we're being born.
And that's the birth of our exponential humanity, which we're all part of and each have a unique self and a unique role in. And we invite you to join us. Thank you.